Hi everybody, and welcome to the Tarot with Titania reading of the week for March 4th to the 11th, 2022. I am not going to be playing music this week just because there are copyright things that I need to learn about, and until I do, I figure it's better not to offend anyone. So, I invite you to close your eyes and to pull yourself into the present moment here with me, wherever you are across time and space. Whenever you're listening to this, you are part of this reading. You are important. So thank you for joining in. So let's get started, shall we? Nice deep breath, hand over your heart if you'd like to just bring that beautiful energy of the heart into the presence of our gathering today. Take 3 nice deep breaths. And just visualize a tree root coming down out of the base of your spine, anchoring you here in this present moment, grounding you in the here and now. Knowing that that tree root is not only grounding you, it is a conduit through which anything that no longer serves you can easily and effortlessly pass down into Mother Earth and become compost for new growth. Creator, this is your daughter Titania, and I am here with all of your children for this week's reading. My intention is to be a clear channel for the information that we most need to receive right now, and to provide that in a manner that will be easily and effortlessly heard, understood, and integrated for our personal and collective highest and greatest good. I invite my higher self and the higher selves of all those listening, now and in the future, to be present, as well as an overlighting angel of communication to be here and facilitate this exchange and ensure that it happens in the highest and best way possible for the highest and greatest good of all participating, all those that we're connected to, and the world at large. I'd like to send particular love at this time to anyone who is suffering, especially those in the Ukraine region. My heart is full for you. I send peace and love, grounding, transformation, and wisdom to those who are making these crazy decisions that are impacting so many people. Much love and light to anyone, anywhere who is going through a difficult time. These are difficult times. We can't underestimate that, and I just want you to know I'm thinking of you. This reading is for you. Okay. In addition, I'd like to invite the 4 archangels to come and hold the 4 directions around us, creating a sacred container of light, of love, of wisdom, of beauty, of healing, of transformation, of peace, that we may address all that is in our heart and mind at this time to our satisfaction in the window that we have here together today. And I'd just like to ask the angels that help us on this planet to just continue to surround us with light and help us to bring our own vibration up so that we can essentially cancel out the negative and lower frequencies that are hurtful to anyone in the world at this time. I know sometimes that contrast is essential for our growth, but it just seems wrong that so many people are suffering. Yeah, we won't get political here right now. We'll get into the reading. It'll be far more effective use of our time and energy. Okay, so Creator, here we are. What is it that we most need to know this week for our good, for our ability to rise and be all that we are here to be, our broadest, wisest, most expressed and uplifted selves, radiating light and beauty and love and peace into the world easily and effortlessly, and helping to transform all life everywhere so that it is in harmony with this beautiful planet that shelters us, that provides for us, our mother. Let's see what the message is for this week, shall we? What wisdom do we need to be our best? Okay, past, present, future. You know the drill. We're starting with the recent past. The influence is waning, but as you know, it continues into the present, into the future. It's an influence that continues to be present in our field. And so we have the Prince of Swords. Situations changing very quickly on the level of the mind and action. So The realm of ideas and action is in constant movement right now. There's always something new information being dropped into the field all the time, causing changes, causing a redirect, causing a bit of chaos, a bit of confusion, anxiety as well. I mean, these are confusing times that we're living in, and sometimes it just feels like we're being played on all sides. Difficult to understand sometimes, and to feel like we can penetrate and discern what's happening in the outer world, which is why we need to come back to ourselves and to our heart and to our here and now, because that's where our wisdom is in this present moment, in our immediate environment. We know what's true from here. When we're living from the inside out rather than the outside in, it's very clear what is real and what is appropriate for us in this moment. So this is telling us, this is the recent past, the influence is waning, but it's this, a knight. In other decks, the prince is the knight, and knights go charging in and out, and there's a lot of momentum behind them. There's sort of this long-term energy that sort of creates that momentum, that impetus, that heaviness of movement in one particular direction. And this is, I think, what we're seeing in the world right now. We have a lot of different agendas, of different ideas, different plans, different desires, all kind of going in slightly different directions. And it can keep us discombobulated. So just being aware of that, and not getting all the information necessarily. There's a lot out there that seems to be of particular perspective. So just keeping that in mind that the things are changing, and they're going to continue to shift and change as we go through this week. Wait 5 minutes, it'll change. Okay. Present. What do we need to know? Change. Well, then, time to make friends with the energy of change and transformation. It's the snakes. We have 2 snakes here. Snakes shed their skin. Radical new beginnings. That's what that must be like, I imagine, for a snake. And for us, this energy of shedding the old, releasing the old. I'm recording this on the new moon in Pisces, March 2nd. And this energy is calling us to plant seeds. The new moon energy is always about that. And so as I release this on Friday, it will still be in the vicinity of this energy. So don't be afraid to plant some seeds for yourself for this next month, what you would like. And perhaps one of those would be ease in the flow of change, ease in the face of this dynamic that's going on the planet at this time. So I think that's pretty clear, self-explanatory, lots of stuff going on. We know that change is inevitable. It's just what's happening in the near future here. My pruning card. If you've been with me for a while, you know that the Ace of Swords is the card of pruning in my world. And I think of overgrown shrubs when I see this. And how do we address an overgrown shrub? Well, we cut out the dead, diseased, and crossing branches so that the plant can be healthier. And then we assess the structure, and we cut away or prune judiciously in a way that allows more light and air to circulate through the center of the plant and around it, so that it's aesthetically more beautiful, but the plant is healthier and happier. This is the energy of the near future. This idea of, pruning. But I think in this case, the name force is probably going to be appropriate too. This wielding of the sword to cut away that which no longer serves. I have a feeling that that's the energy that we are looking at here. That right wisdom, right effort, right application of force for the good. To clean things up so that life can thrive and continue in a natural and appropriate and healthy manner. So this is the energy that we're moving into. So lots of shifting here, change being the only constant. And then this card of pruning, this card of the application of force, the wielding of the sword of truth to cut through the nonsense, to cut through the garbage, to cut through all the extraneous stuff so that we can get to the core of the matter and ensure that there's enough light and love and energy. And then we can rebuild and cultivate that plant from that renovated state, if you will. So, yeah, And then we have, as the foundation card this week, interesting cards, we have the card of illusion, the Seven of Hearts. This is why we're having the reading, is the energy of illusion. And so we see the angel standing at the bottom here. And we have all these hearts kind of circulating above her. And you can see she just feels kind of overwhelmed and captivated and compelled by all these different hearts that are flowing around in her field. And this is, I think, you know, stories of narrative, of media, not getting all the story, and how difficult would it be to tell the whole story because we each have our own perspective on it. But there are these threads that are being pushed towards us to justify certain things. And rather than just giving us time, it's like one thing after another on the world stage. We're not even really done the trucker convoy thing in Canada, and now we're at war. War is happening in the Ukraine, and there's convoys happening all over the world, and we're not hearing about them. And I wonder about all that. I wonder about all these different pieces and this energy of illusion. And what is that doing to us? She doesn't look terribly grounded, does she? I mean, how can you be grounded when you're caught up in an illusion? So the energy this week is just reminding us to come back to ourselves, come back to our heart, come back to our home within ourselves. We're living from here outward. We have to remember that rather than having the outside coming in at us. And we will navigate the energy of illusion when we are peaceful and grounded within ourselves. We'll be so much clearer about what is for you and what is not for you, what's for me, what's for not for me, what's appropriate and what isn't. I've been finding it a little bit challenging this week, as I'm sure all of you have. It just seems like these players on the world stage are playing out something, and it has nothing to do with the people at the bottom. Nothing to do with you and I and our brothers and sisters around the world. And that seems a great injustice to me. That these people at the top have the wealth and the resources and the capacity to make these decisions that impact everyone but them. And that's what I mean by illusion. How do we see through what we're being given so that we can be wise and do the pruning that needs to happen personally and collectively so we can clean up the world in good ways? What is the change that we want to see in the world, in our own lives? Who do we want to be in our own lives? What do we want to be creating? And maybe just give yourself permission to play with that a little bit. We're in the energy of Pisces now, and Pisces is the dreamer. It's the imagination. It's that energy of water. And playing with that energy of what does the more beautiful world that your heart knows possible look like for you? And maybe giving it some energy, dreaming it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be super solid or concrete. And how will you feel living in that world? What I'm talking about is giving energy to the new. It all starts in the realm of the etheric, into the air, and ideas and dreams and visions. That's where our future begins. That's where innovation starts. That's where the imagination is so powerful. It helps us to create this energy, and then it can live down and out and through us into the world, which is why it's important for us to spend time dreaming the world that we know will bring us into more love and light and well-being and grace. So, back to the cards. This energy of charging in and out, charging out. A lot of that dynamic, especially on the level of the physical and the mind. You know, it's like mind games, mind, physicality, theater, that kind of idea. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of stuff happening. Pentacles, Two of Pentacles in the present moment, in this present time, we're going through the energy of change. And so we need to be agents of our own change. We need to take responsibility for ourselves and what is the change that we want to see in the world. Very, very responsible for who are we being? How are we being? Because peace in the world starts with us. Beauty in the world starts with us. We are the ones. We can't wait for someone else to do it for us. We have to start on the inside out. We may not have all the answers right now, and that's okay. This is part of the process of being human, especially here at this time. We're discovering it as we go. But being open to the change, and at the same time guiding the change from the inside out. You being happy, congruent, aligned, peaceful, me in the same state, living our lives from that inward state out into the world, and seeing how that changes everything, because who we are is completely different then. The near future, this energy of the force, of the cleaning up, of the pruning, of the judicious use of force to cut away the dead, to cut away the disease, the crossing, that which clogs and impedes life and growth and expansion and well-being, ease and circulation of love and light and beauty and well-being. That's what's looking like in our near future. Part of our dreaming is knowing what we want, so we're really clear about what we don't want, right? And then the foundation card, this being aware of the web of illusion. And that's something also interesting about Pisces, because there's some of that energy as well with Pisces. I'm not an astrologer. I just have a general idea of these things. But the dreamer can also be the illusion, can also be vague, and being mindful of that, just being really mindful and coming back to the self, coming back to your body, coming back to the here and now. That is going to have to be our little mantra for the next little while, I guess, for us. It's just take that deep breath, come back to right here and now, because this is what we know is true. Regardless of whatever is being said, whatever is being spun, whatever stories we are being told, I'm not saying they're not true. I'm not saying they're not real. I'm just saying that what we do know individually is what is right here, right now. And so coming back to that is part of what will help us to ground as we navigate all of this stuff. Because if we're unrooted, if we're distracted, if we're out of our center and out of our bodies, if we're up here somewhere, so easy, we're off our center. How can we be of service to the world and to life if we're not present, if we're not here now, if we're distracted, if we're caught up in the illusion and we're letting that lead us rather than us leading our own lives and our collective experience from the inside out? So really important to be mindful of this. And then where are you being caught up in illusion? Where are we being caught up in illusion? What's real? What's true? What's important? And coming back to that, finding touchstones to bring us back to that again and again and again, so that we stay grounded, present, loving, kind, aware, resilient, and crafting from our hearts what it is that we want for our future. Pulling that down into the world through our awareness and understanding. Okay, I think we're pretty clear about these cards, huh? Okay, so we need our card to grow on now, Creator. What do we need to know going forward this week? What will help us to stay in that grounded, happy place? Help us to be the best agents of life and service and love that we can be personally, in each other's experience, and collectively in our communities and in the world. So what do we need to know for us, our card to grow on? Okay. I guess that's our work. Pruning. Everybody get your shears sharpened. We have some work to do. We have work to do on ourselves, in our own lives. Bringing this sort of truth into our own experience, pruning shears of truth, to prune our own inner shrubbery so that we can get clear about, release that which no longer serves us and move powerfully forward towards more love and light and air freely circulating in our life, so that we can move with grace and ease and be nimble and light filled and healthy. I think it's really interesting that we got this card. I guess it's what's up for all of us. This is what is up. We are changing on the planet, but the change is starting with us. We as individuals have to take responsibility and clean up our personal experience. And as we do that, we create this collective wave of renewal and clarity. And when we're clean and clear ourselves, then we look at the world with clean and clear eyes. And how powerful is it? More of us who do this, who are looking at ourselves with clean and clear eyes and cleaning away the old and coming back to what's authentic and true and life-giving. And then we know how we need to be in the world. What do we need to do on the larger stage of life? Yeah, that's really interesting. I hope you like pruning. It's very satisfying. Okay, and then I want to pull a card for our leaders. And one falls out of the deck. I'm going to see if that one comes out again. So, Creator, what do we need to know about our leaders right now? What is it that we need to understand about what is happening and playing out on the world stage so that we can be wiser, kinder, more resilient, more empowered, and know what we need to do? Because on some level, it's all perfect. As weird and, on a three-dimensional level, it doesn't make any sense. But on some level, I'm sure it makes a lot of sense. So this is what we need to know this week about our our leaders. The Fool. Okay, first card of the major arcana. The Fool energy is the beginning of the journey. I mean, the name itself is kind of funny, the Fool, our leaders. Being fools. But it's this energy of fresh starts, fresh beginnings, newness. There's, as the Fool is walking forward, he's looking at the mask on his staff, which is looking behind him, which is memory. It's like what I feel is coming through here is it's like playing an old story, doing things an old way, rather than stepping into possibility space, freshness, life. Our leaders are caught up in old ways of doing things. And I don't know if all of them are. I'm not intimately connected to any of them. But from where I'm standing and when I look out into the world, it feels like they have a playbook that they're using, this sort of looking at the face that's looking back, rather than dropping that and looking forward into life and moving powerfully forward into new possibilities and new opportunities and engaging in a different way. We as humanity are at a crossroads. It's time for us to step up. It's time for us to do things differently. It's time for us to stop bickering and co-create magnificently. It's time for us to step away from the energy of domination and control and step into co-creation and collaboration and resilience and connecting with each other, with the planet, with other species, and reimagining the world. That's the energy that we need to be tapping into. But as I said, the sense that I get with our leaders is they're kind of stuck. They're sort of, what I'm really noticing in the card today is the brownness of the figure and the brownness of the face, and the way that the face of the Fool is really looking at the face that looks back, and how there's this, there's all this light and all this color and all this beauty all around that's not being observed, that's not being seen. And so hopefully our leaders can wake up to the fact that they have the opportunity to move us in a new way, to transform things. And I'm not talking about the Great Reset. Please don't think I'm talking about that. Because I don't see that as liberating humanity. I see that as a control, once again, a domination, once again. People at the top dominating those at the bottom. We need to move beyond that. We need to move to a place of beauty for everybody, well-being for everybody. And it will be challenging. We are up for it. It's part of our growing up. It's going to be uncomfortable. Change always is. But we can do it. We can transcend these ways of being so that we don't need to do war anymore. because it's so counterproductive. You should put the leaders in a ring and let them duke it out, eh? Leave the people out of it. Anyway, that's our message. What do we need to know about our leaders? I guess what this is also saying is we need to, as we're holding this vision for our beautiful, brilliant new future, what would good leadership look like? What would you want from a good leader? And not like some benevolent parent, because I think we're past that. I think that's part of what we're experiencing in humanity. We're growing up. We're getting ready to go off to college. We're no longer, like the parenting thing is kind of old. We want to try something new. We want to do something differently. And so what would leadership look like? One friend of mine talks about how a good leader would ask really good questions, and the people would then answer those questions. They would give their perspective on it, and that would be what would guide the collective forward, is the way those questions were asked and the answers that come forward from it. And I thought, wow, that's clever. So reimagining leadership, reimagining the world. The one we're leaving had its good points. Let's bring those forward. There's a lot of stuff that wasn't great either. So what do we want? Lots of dreaming here. So good thing we're in the energy of Pisces. Okay, my friends, let's close with a prayer. I invite you to just close your eyes, take a nice deep breath, settle back into your heart, put your hand on your heart if you'd like. Creator, this is your daughter Titania, and I'm here with all of your children now and in the future who are listening to this recording. I want to thank you for this opportunity for us to gather energetically, for us to pull through the answers that we need right now, personally and collectively, so that we can rise and heal and transform and strive to be all that we are here to be, both as unique expressions of life and as our collective of humanity. I want to ask for guidance, for peace, for healing, for wisdom. Help us to stay in our hearts. Help us to stay focused on the good. Help us to stay aligned with life, with beauty, with well-being, with peace. And I ask that our leaders wake up. I ask that our leaders have the wisdom and the discernment and the grace to step away from the old and to step beautifully and powerfully into the brilliant new future that is possible for us as humanity. It's such an incredible vision of what is there. And I just ask that we somehow have the ability to transition into that new light, that beauty that's there for all of us. And somehow we're able to infuse that energy to our leaders, send it to them somehow so that they change trajectory, so that they move in a new way, so that they look to being more collaborative and kinder and resilient and resourceful. And we can step away from the violence and the bloodshed and the fear and the pain and the dominance and the control. Because ultimately, that's counter to life, and we're here to be more life. I want to thank all those who helped to hold this space today. I want to thank everyone for participating, wherever you are. You are an important part of this reading. Your energy, your willingness to be here pulls the answers through. It helps me to do my job, which is to be the channel. So thank you. Feel free to share this with anyone you feel might benefit from it. My intention with these readings is that we get what we need and that we are able to move powerfully forward with grace and ease into this time of transformation and co-create more beauty and love and light. So hopefully it's supportive of you in that. Until next week, I wish you much love and light. The reading is at an end, so it is. Bye for now.